Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, actually, since I just sat down in front of the backdrop, done a video as normal. We've been doing the Euros of beers, we've been doing some live streams with Ryan McGinley, reacting to some news as it's broke, but I've not just sat down and made a normal video in ages. I was also in London, so I've been away for a few days. I took a bit of a break. I was enjoying myself as I went down to see Scotland take on England at the Euros. What a weekend it's been, but it's time to finally get back to normal. It's time to get into rota this fine Monday evening. Let's talk about Celtic. This is a video that I don't really have a structure on how I'm going to make it, how I'm going to talk. If anything, this whole topic and this whole situation and what I'm going to talk about would probably be more suited to a podcast with someone actually there to have a conversation with and someone to bounce off of. You know, the likes of me, Kieran and Ryan sitting there and having a conversation about these things always helps, but it has been a long time since I've sat down on YouTube and spoke about Celtic. It's been a long time since I've just sat here and gave my views. I've been, of course, away for the past weekend. I've been focusing solely on the Scotland international duty and the national team. I've not really had the chance to air my views about Celtic as much as I normally would. And since I last aired my views about Celtic, we've had a lot of developments, we've had a lot of leaked stories, we've had a lot of rumours. There's been loads out there, and there's been loads out there for a team who've really not done anything. And that's the frustrating thing about Celtic. We've done nothing. We appointed Ange Postecoglou, of course, just over a week ago now. He was made our official manager. We had a bit of an issue where we had to wait for him to come into the country and then also isolate. He's now in the country. We've seen pictures of him meeting Dom Mackay on, I think it was Friday night, and then at the game with Dom Mackay on Friday night down at Wembley. We've seen those images, but we've done nothing. I feel like we've been a club who's just sitting there in silence, radio silence. We've done nothing to encourage our fans to buy season tickets when the deadline is in fact only 4 or 5 days away. I'm imagining that deadline will be extended, but the deadline's supposedly Friday. We've done nothing to encourage our supporters. We've done nothing in the front of transfers. We've heard very little, if only bad things, on the front of transfers, which we'll come on to in this video. We've not appointed a director of football. In fact, all we've heard is bad things as to who the director of football could be. And really, we've not heard a lot from what the club's vision is in regards to this modernisation, everything else. We've been given a season ticket renewal, we've been given a manager, we've had a couple of interviews, and we've been told to sit and be happy with it. I am not happy with the position Celtic Football Club is in. I'm not happy at the direction we're heading in at this moment in time. And I'm certainly not happy as a season ticket holder with the prospect of having to part with £300, £400, £500 in the next few days for a club which really has shown me no ambition, no hope for next season, and has left ourselves in a position where I really can't see us challenging for a league title. Now, these videos are difficult because I really don't know where I'm going with it. It's more of a rant. I just want to get things off my chest that I've not had the chance to speak about, and I want to do it in different sort of sections. I'm also just fed up of being negative, being pessimistic, being the one who has to come on and get moaned at by older elements of the support who just think I'm here to constantly berate the club. I'm not wanting to do that. If people who have been watching me for the last 4 or 5 years know I have been one of the most upbeat guys that I could be. I've been buzzing, I've been so happy with our club, but over the past 12 months that has been changed 180 degrees. It's flipped, it's just changed dramatically, and it's impossible to be happy with the situation we're in. And what makes it harder is the club are not doing anything to allow me to be more positive. We had the kind of slight up of bringing in Ange Postecoglou, but let's be perfectly honest. How much of a positive was it when the first choice and the man who a lot of us Celtic fans had our hearts set on walked away from the offer? We couldn't get it over the line, and we had to revert to someone who I still don't believe would have been the second choice. I still believe it's a matter of fact that he was probably one of the only guys who was willing to be second choice. Maybe our other options and better options that were there were saying, well, no, if you didn't want me at first, I'm not coming now. I still don't believe it was the guy who Celtic intended on having, and it strikes me very much as a panic appointment. I've said that. I'm not going to change my opinion. I'll make it clear. I'll back him, and I really want Ange to do well. I like the guy, and I think that he does have potential to do well at Celtic. I'll back him, but it still doesn't mean that I'm going to admit that it was the right appointment. It wasn't the right appointment. So that's of course the first thing which has been baffling. But we were told we were getting this modernisation of a football club. We were told we were going to change. We were going to be trying to compete with Europe's best, not only domestic, the best in domestic football, but the best in European football. We want to try and go forward. We want to be a modern working football club. We have been waiting and waiting and waiting for a director of football to be appointed at Celtic Football Club, and we don't have one. We don't have a director of football, and we are only weeks away from the first Champions League fixture against Midtjylland, which I really see us struggling in. Now, who's being linked with that director of football job? Well, that's even worse. We were meant to have Fergal Harkin. The talk for months is it was meant to be Fergal Harkin. That didn't happen. Neither did Eddie Howe. That makes me worry about the top of the board. And we'll come on to the people who are guilty of this later on, but it makes me worry because now we're being told that Gordon Strachan is going to be the person getting it, the director of football job. Gordon Strachan. It is 2021 and we are about to welcome Gordon Strachan, who's currently working at Dundee, by the way. Dundee. We're about to welcome Gordon Strachan back into a senior role, which is maybe and arguably more important than the head coach, especially in a rebuild. And we're going to welcome back Gordon Strachan, someone who, for the past 6 months to 6 to 12 months, has been telling supporters that they don't matter, their voice don't matter, that Celtic are doing fine, all the rest of it on Celtic TV, right in front of our eyes, has been out of a senior job since the Scotland role in terms of management and all the rest of it. He's got that technical director role at Dundee, but let's just calm down about that. It's nothing on a grand scale. Someone who has had some controversies with interviews and words that he's been thrown out in the media in the past. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And someone who ultimately had his time at Celtic. For a club that's meant to be moving forward, this is what bugs me the most. It's not so much that it's Gordon Strachan. I've people know on this channel, I've always tried, I kind of like Strachan in a sense. But we're a club that's trying to move forward. We're trying to develop. We're trying to modernise ourselves. And we're going for someone who worked at the club over a decade ago. And it was a successful stint at the club. I enjoyed Strachan's time as a fan. I was a young boy. He was probably the first manager I can really remember, if I'm being perfectly honest. But we're meant to be moving forward. We're meant to be taking strides as a football club and trying to change, when instead we are moving backwards. And we're going for Gordon Strachan. To me, it spells a lack of ambition. To me, it spells, once again, panic. And ultimately, we're giving a job to someone who's already on the payroll at Celtic for his Celtic TV punditry. It is the easy and it is the cheap option because they know Gordon Strachan is not going to turn down that job. He would take it in a heartbeat from Dundee to Celtic. The wage rise, of course, being back at Celtic, everything is not. It's a no-brainer for Gordon Strachan. And it's just disastrous. It's humiliating to me that he could be the one who's coming in to be maybe the most important part of a club's rebuild, which is going to take 1, 2, 3 years, which we don't have really. We don't have that amount of time, but something that sets up the longevity of our club in the next kind of 5-10 years. We're using Gordon Strachan to set that up. For me, it's pathetic, it's embarrassing, it's humiliating. I can't quite believe that could happen. Now, it's not been confirmed, it's not official, it's literally only paper rumours, but it does not stun me, and you could see it coming a mile away. Celtic have just messed up everything, all the dealings of this summer to try and get the club back to its best and try to go and chase Rangers. And ultimately land the club in the best position. They've screwed it all up one way or another, whether it's financial, whether it's just by poor dealing in the club's boardroom, whatever it is, they have messed it all up. And it's frustrating. And Gordon Strachan potentially coming back into that role, it's just another fine example. Then we come to the recruitment and the names that we have been linked with since I've been in London and since I've not been making Celtic videos. It does not fill you with faith. It fills you with anger. First of all, I'm angry at what it seems to be our scouting direction at the club. It fills you with a little bit of, I don't want to say nerves, because really I'm numb and I don't expect us to go and win the title next year. I'm not nervous in any way, shape or form. I would be nervous. I would be more nervous if we signed well, because I'm like, now we need to go and prove that these are good signings. It just makes me anxious to see how far we can actually challenge, though, because they're not good enough. Charlie White of Sunderland, who... Yeah, okay, people go, oh, he scored 31 goals for Sunderland last season. We were all hyping up Tony after he scored 30 for Peterborough. Yeah, but Ivan Toney wasn't 28 years old. Vast difference in player. I just have no words. People who are trying to make that comparison baffle me. Charlie White, 20-year-old, and even though he scored 31 goals, may I add, I've seen Sunderland fans slating him and saying we're the unlucky ones if we're signing him. And that's coming from someone who scored that many goals. He's not the kind of player Celtic need. Eric Sviatchenko. Once again, look, I loved Eric. Everybody knows that's been watching my channel for years. I was a massive fan of Eric Sviatchenko. And look, listen to me. If we signed Eric Sviatchenko at the end of the transfer window, when we'd done all our business and hopefully good business, and we brought him in as a centre-back option just to fill out and beef up the squad, I would be buzzing with it. I'd be perfectly happy. But the fact he's getting touted as one of the names as our first signings, or one of our potential first signings, is worrying. To say the least. Is that the direction that we are going in as a football club? Is that where we are heading? We're going. First of all, we bring back Strachan and we bring back Sviatchenko. You may as well go out and try and get Gary Mackay-Steven, Nadir Chifchi, and anybody else who's playing that's been chucked over the past few years, because that is embarrassing if that is our scouting direction, reverting to players who never made the cut before. I loved Eric Sviatchenko, and honestly I still think he would be a great depth option, but if that is where we are starting our business, I really don't want to know what the scouts have got in store for us this summer and what the club have in store for us this summer. We are heading backwards as a football club. And Ralston, and Anthony Ralston getting a contract extension. What? What? A man who's played about 5 times since his last contract, and that's not an exact figure, but it feels like it, since he signed his last contract extension under Brendan Rodgers, a guy who's been papped out on emergency loans, a guy who's ultimately, and I don't wish any bad on Anthony Ralston, I don't want to just tear into him, this is not his fault, ultimately he's not good enough for Celtic. He's not. And yet he's getting a contract extension. I don't know if it's just out of the fact we have no right backs other than him at the club, but he is not good enough to play, and I wish him all the best for his career, and if he moved on from Celtic, I hope he does well. He's not good enough. He is simply not good enough, and we are handing out a contract extension to Anthony Ralston. What? I just don't get it. It makes no sense. And now Lee Griffiths is in a situation where people are like, okay, have him a contract as well. I'm just done. I say, what? Why do these guys deserve new contracts? What have they done? Are we accepting mediocrity now? Like, I just don't understand. It makes no sense to me. Lee Griffiths getting a contract, Anthony Ralston getting a contract, when accumulatively, I can't speak now, accumulatively, try anyway, they have done really nothing over the past 2-3 years. Griffiths has popped up with a goal here and there, but he's let the club down on more opportunities than he scored for the club. Ultimately, they don't deserve new contracts, and once again, it's worrying as to where the club goes. Now, I know Griffiths is a little bit more complex, I think it is. He's going to meet Ange, and they're going to meet up and talk about it, and we've heard that when he gets to meet the team, I believe, this week, but Jesus suffering fuck, this is not the direction the club can be going in. This is not the modernisation that I had in mind, or any of us had in mind. I think, if anything, the club is going backwards. We are going back years here. We are setting ourselves for the biggest mountain to climb ever. As Brian Rice once put it, this rebuild is starting to look like Mount Everest in flip-flops. I honestly don't know where we go, and I'm worried. I am angry and I'm worried at where Celtic Football Club go over the next few months. I really am. We need to get the finger out. The season ticket renewal deadline is Friday. Let me know if you've renewed your season ticket. Personally, I haven't yet. I have not renewed mine yet, and I want to renew it. Of course, I want to go back to the football. I want to watch my team. I want to cheer my team on. But Celtic are doing nothing to make me want to go and see that team at the minute. I'm shitting myself for next season. There is nothing there that the team have done, the club have done, to make fans happy right now. And I think a lot of people are sharing the same views as me, sharing the same pessimism as me, and sharing the same anxiety as me as to where the club goes, because it is really, really worrying. And that's the bottom line. We need to see change. We need to see things happen. And of course, the fault mostly here is the boardroom, Peter Law and all the rest of it. But Don Mackay is accountable as well. He is not innocent in any of this. He's been in the club. He's been working for the club for months now. Just because he's new doesn't mean he's not part of the blame for the situation we find ourselves in just now. No, he is certainly accountable. But of course, there'll be people that are more accountable than others. But really, we are in a horrible, horrible state, and I'm starting to doubt our chances of challenging for that title next season. If I wasn't already, that is. So, yeah, I'm worried. I really am. Right, as I said, I had no structure for this. I had no sort of script or anything. I was just going for it. My first video back, there was just too much to cover. I had so much to say and so many things to talk about that it just had to go out in a kind of chat rant style video. I certainly can't feel persuaded by anybody on this. I really can't. You can try and be as optimistic as you like for next season, but right now I am very, very worried about Celtic Football Club. I really am. These stories that are coming out every day just seem to get worse and worse and worse, and the names getting linked with the club seem to get worse and worse. Where do we go from here? Where do we go? And you need to give us a fucking miracle, boy. Like and subscribe. I know a lot of people won't like this because of how negative it is and all the rest of it, but I've never had away from just speaking the truth and speaking my honest thoughts. I'm not going to put on green tinted specs and pretend that everything's okay. I've said that so many times this season, and I will stick by it, because right now it's not okay. Like and subscribe. See you all next time.